Ndoye, Mokhtar Njai, Mamadou Njai, Jules Awe, and Babacar Cisse. And the U.S. with only LeBron James from that familiar starting group. Everyone else from the second group in the lineup there for the United States. So Mike Krzyzewski, he's going to limit the minutes of some people. In fact, we've been told, Fran, that Dwayne Wade in all likelihood won't play at all in this game.
The outcome of this game, and particularly the score, means absolutely nothing, Jim. If I were Mike Krzyzewski, the game plan today would be rest your key guys, play everybody, work on some half-court sets in the offensive end, also tighten up that half-court defense. I didn't feel like Team USA improved as much yesterday as they did over the first 3 games, but certainly to be able to come from behind said something about their character.
So of the top 3 scorers, then only LeBron James is on the floor to start the game today. Anthony at 21.5 after his 35 yesterday. Dwayne Wade at 21.3 in tournament play. You know, you look at this game on paper and you figure, well, the U.S. should win and should win easily against Senegal. But let's put it this way. Yesterday, Italy was competitive with the United States. Senegal was competitive against Italy.
They did. They took Italy to the wire the day before. But I think in this situation today, Team USA, as long as they play well, the outcome of the game and the score really doesn't mean as much now that they've clinched their spot in the elimination round.
This is Joe Johnson getting a familiar look out of the corner, and Senegal off on the move. And now the U.S. back.
Senegal, a scrappy team. They play mostly man-to-man.
Joe Johnson with the offensive rebound. Sets it up for Antoine Jamison. Miller battling for the rebound. The ball knocked out of bounds. It stays at that end.
Well, Brad Miller has only played about 4 minutes a game. He's been a what you call a consummate team guy, and he actually played very well in the exhibition season. This is a good opportunity for Miller.
So a scoreless game. We're over a half a minute in, and the personal foul there against Mamadou Njai.
That name sounds familiar. He had a very solid career at Auburn University.
For those of you joining us this morning, 12-minute quarters in the NBA, 10-minute quarters in FIBA, shorter three-point line, foul out on 5 fouls, and you're looking at that trapezoid free throw lane. We're looking at a scoreless ball game. The U.S. trying to finish off pool play with 5 straight victories. Argentina already in 5-0 as they win Group A. And Greece and Turkey are in action right now, playing for a 5-0 mark. Senegal taking the lead.
This is a team that actually shoots the 3 pretty well. 37% coming in. Good size up front, good wings. Point guard play has been spotty. Some recognizable names from the college game.
A couple of guys from Delaware on this Senegal roster. Still the U.S. scoreless, a minute and a half in.
Every shot so far by Team USA has been a long jump shot.
And Senegal, of course, will not be advancing with an 0-4 record right now. So this is their gold medal game.
Yes, it is.
And they've got a 4-0 lead.
Senegal, a country that produces a lot of young big guys that have gone on to play in the college and NBA game.
And why aren't they here?
Well, it's interesting. You're right. Their best 5 big men, including Sagana Diop of the Dallas Mavericks, are chosen not to play for one reason or another. Injuries, personal reasons.
Senegal coming in second in the African zone qualifying. Personal foul there. Whistled against Mokhtar Njai.
Always felt as a coach, Jim, if you go 2 or 3 possessions and you shoot long jump shots, that you need something going to the basket to get the opportunity to get fouled or score an easy one. Good smart play by Joe Johnson.
As Joe Johnson puts the United States on the scoreboard. Joe Johnson kind of struggling with his shot lately. In fact, his field goal percentage is less than 35% now. The U.S. coming in, though, as a team shooting 54% out of bounds to Senegal.
Joe Johnson, a guy whose minutes have sort of fluctuated.
Good block from behind by Joe Johnson.
Those names we talked about, Sagana Diop.
6-2 Senegal.
Boniface Ndong from the Clippers not here. Sayer Sene, first round pick of the Sonics.
And the United States now 0 for 7 from the field. Just 2 free throws to show for it here in this early start. They're down by 4. Njai has the ball, nearly stolen, recovers. And on the rebound, Senegal trying to capture the offensive rebound, but the U.S. now in transition. There's their first field goal, LeBron James.
Good look ahead by Brad Miller. And again, when the jump shots are going down, you've got to find other ways to score. Good defense, good kick ahead. You see Team USA just solid half-court defense. Gambling has been somewhat of a problem at times.
Brad Miller, a good recovery defensively as Senegal worked to the inside. Now the U.S. coming out with a steal. Yep, and a foul. Antoine Jamison scoring.
Well, once again, as we've seen through this tournament, starts with good defense. LeBron James with the handle in the middle of the floor. The good look away. Jamison runs the court, gets the easy 2.
And the foul on Ndoye. That's his first. That's 3 team fouls on Senegal.
At the line for USA, number 7, Jamison, 1 shot.
As Badiani checks in.
Keep in mind, Jim, this is like a glorified practice for Team USA. They come in number 22 in field goal defense and 3-point field goal defense.
Nice move on the reverse, Ndoye.
Half-court defense has got to be tightened up as they head to the elimination round.
In which Australia awaits, and that on Sunday with a time to be determined. Check your local listings.
Well, we saw this in the first half yesterday. A little too much isolation, not enough touches.
Joe Johnson finds that field goal he's been looking for. 4 of the 8 points scored by Joe Johnson. Turkey and Greece are tied early in their game, both at 4-0. Oh, nice. Cisse.
Yep, the captain of this team and the veteran, Boubacar Cisse.
So a personal foul called.
Well, we mentioned dribble penetration has been an Achilles heel for Team USA in the half court, particularly obviously in its backcourt, and that's something that must be tightened up. You know, Team USA, Jim, when you look at the schedule, is only going to have 3 or 4 more practices. So this is somewhat of a glorified scrimmage today.
You saw Dwight Howard in the lineup for the first time, and Howard is coming off a real tumble that he took yesterday, falling on his back, but apparently he's okay. And Carmelo Anthony with the defense around the rim, and Anthony also in the lineup. Anthony coming off that 35-point performance yesterday. Heinrich. Kirk Heinrich brings the U.S. even.
Well, there's a guy that's shooting the ball extremely well, although that wasn't a 3. 6 of 9 from behind the arc in the preliminary round.
Greece leads Turkey 11-7 early in that game.
Well, you hear the great talking by Anthony and James.
Blocked by Howard on the attempt by Cisse. Heinrich, and it's followed in beautifully by LeBron James.
Well, that's a blueprint right there for Team USA basketball. Solid half-court defense transition, the miss and the hustle play by LeBron.
That's a 3, giving Senegal the lead.
Well, Mokhtar Njai, former North Carolina Tar Heel, had a couple of stints in the NBA.
Less than 4 minutes remaining. Opening quarter, the ball out of bounds, leading to a timeout. So Senegal very competitive with the U.S. in the early going. 3:52 left in the quarter. Senegal 6 of 12, including a 3-point field goal. The United States 5 of 13.
Well, obviously, Mike Krzyzewski wants to win this game, but process is more important than the final result, and that has to take place on the defensive end in the half court, where Team USA has not been at its best in this tournament.
Usually teams are successful out of the timeout off the inbounds pass. Well, it wasn't quite the way it was drawn up, but LeBron James has 6 as the United States goes up by 1. Heinrich putting on good pressure, and it's out of bounds to Senegal.
That's exactly right, Jim. Solid pressure. Don't gamble. Don't get yourself in a disadvantaged situation. 4 on 5. Just pressure the ball. Keep it in front of you.
That time Senegal able to throw ahead and beat the press. Penny, number 5. An offensive rebound to Senegal, but loose to the U.S. Carmelo Anthony.
He probably stayed here last night in the gym, kept shooting.
He should have. He was 13 of 18 yesterday from the field. As the U.S. now goes in front by 4, its biggest.
Good solid half-court D. They guarded a set play, which they'll have to do.
Right at the rim is Battier.
They turn it into transition offense. Nothing fancy, no gambling, good defense. That has led to good offense and a great look ahead by LeBron to find Battier.
So the U.S. now with a 6-point advantage. And over in Group A, Argentina with a win today. They're 5-0.
5-0. Ginobili, Scola, names that you know. Oberto from the Spurs, Nocioni. But a surprise team, and actually only 2-3, but Serbia-Montenegro, very young team. Darko Milicic, 24 points, 12 rebounds today. If you're a fan of the Orlando Magic, you think of Dwight Howard and Darko Milicic, you've got to be very pleased with that front line.
But the real drama that's left is what's happening in Group C. Greece and Turkey, both at 4-0 and playing right now. And Greece leading Turkey 15-9 with 3:44 left to go in the quarter.
And not only do they have 2 good basketball teams, when you think of the geopolitics of that area, that takes on a little added significance.
So the winner of that will finish at 5-0 and be number 1. Lithuania has already clinched number 3 in Group C. And Australia, the U.S. opponent on Sunday in the elimination round, is 4 in Group C.
See the half-court set offense. This is very good simulation for Team USA.
That's a 3 if it drops, and it's a little short. Cleared by Battier. Chris Paul in the lineup now for the U.S.
So you hear Chris Paul say run it. They didn't run a set play yesterday until the last minute of the first quarter.
Senegal pops it loose.
Good defense by Brand.
Do they have the 3-second call in
they do.
national play?
but not a lot of those FIBA officials can count. They don't count in English.
But 3 seconds are 3 seconds, no matter what. Chris Paul.
Good rhythm jump shot off the pick and roll. Anytime there's no fast break or transition offense today, if I were Coach K, I would run half-court sets.
Chris Paul, by the way, now with a 16-3 assist to turnover ratio. 32 assists and 6 turnovers in this tournament. Anthony. Wow.
You don't have to run half-court offense for him because he manages, with his skill level, to always get a good look at the basket.
That's 12 in a row for the United States and an 11-point lead, a little over a minute remaining in this opening quarter. Nice back cut. but the U.S. recovered defensively.
Team USA only plus 0.7 rebounding margin in this tournament. See, much better half-court offense to start this game out. Excuse me, defense.
And what do you attribute to that? You know, you bring up the good point about they haven't really dominated the backboards. Now, they're not really a big team, and yet some of the gambling defense doesn't leave you in good rebound position.
Absolutely. You extend out, you extend your defense out, you gamble, you find yourself in a disadvantaged situation. That's going to happen. Teams shoot long shots against this team. Ball's going to come out long. But you see the excellent half court. You don't see the dribble penetration as much in this game versus Team USA as we've seen early in this tournament.
Final seconds of the quarter. Chris Paul. They found the right guy, Carmelo Anthony, at the buzzer, but he couldn't get that one to go. So the U.S. was down early, but they're up 13 after one. Welcome back to our coverage of USA basketball. The United States finished the first quarter scoring the last 14 points to go up by 13.
Out of that timeout, they trapped the pick and roll. Good aggressive play by Brad Miller. You see that trap again.
And now Senegal up against it on the shot clock, but Paul says, I'll just take it, thank you. Chris Paul with 4 points as the U.S. now has scored 16 in a row.
That's a good wrinkle coming out of the timeout. That trap of the pick and roll is a more organized trap, something they may need later in this tournament to take the ball out of a good player's hands.
Chris Bosh, who came on at the quarter break. Kirk Heinrich got a start today. And Kirk Heinrich from long range. But it's a deep two for Heinrich and a timeout taken. It's now 19 straight points for the United States and a 31-13 lead. You didn't miss anything while you were away. They just gave Heinrich the three that he should have had on that long shot out of the right side.
Once again, solid half-court defense. Much more of a contained defense today than we've seen.
Oh, good move to the inside by Senegal.
That's Tafa Savane, a young man who went to the United States Naval Academy. And the reason that's interesting is because his father is a Senegalese politician, got him into the Naval Academy, and he had to pay his own way as a foreign national, unlike a young man from the United States, which the U.S. government picks up the tab.
He picks up the personal foul there.
Had a nice career at Navy, graduating in 2000.
And the U.S. turns it over on the Joe Johnson move.
Again, Coach K not worrying as much about score today as process. I mentioned earlier, with the couple off days coming up, Jim, only 2 or 3 more days you can really practice in this tournament.
And if you're joining us late, as we mentioned early on, Dwayne Wade will not be seeing any action today for the United States, as the U.S. leads by 16. Here goes Paul.
Good look.
Heinrich.
That international flavor. Dribble drive, kick out deep.
Cisse on the move and a foul on Heinrich. Oh, he turned it over. Cupped the dribble. Nicely done, Joe Johnson.
Again, solid half-court defense, and that has given Team USA all the transition opportunities they've needed without the gambling that we've seen throughout this preliminary round.
That's some explosion by the United States offensively after a sluggish start. They have scored 21 of the last 23.
Important for everybody to touch the ball. Good look.
Chris Bosh at the rim. The foul will get him on the line to shoot 2. Personal foul on Endoy. 2 fouls on him.
Well, these are quality minutes for Brad Miller and Chris Bosh with a 12-man lineup and 4 games theoretically to get to the gold. depth still plays a factor in this tournament. A sprained ankle away from Bosch or Miller, really needing to help this team.
Chris Bosch, 6 of 8 from the line in tournament play.
One of the rising stars, Toronto Raptors, with an international flavor. Bosch.
Senegal able to control to the rim and a foul. And the first free throws for Senegal in the game upcoming. Well, the United States in the elimination round will be taking on Australia on Sunday. Plan on being with us here on ESPN2. A time to be determined. But I guarantee you one thing. It will be early in the morning on Sunday.
Middle of the night.
Well, what we don't know is, will it be late at night on Saturday, or will it be early in the morning on Sunday?
We're going to have to adjust our body clocks on Saturday. Should I just stay up all night?
Yeah, that's an idea. Splits the free throws.
Team USA will see former #1 pick Andrew Bogut of the Milwaukee Bucks. Little zone here, and this is good for Team USA. Little 3-2 zone.
Joe Johnson getting inside to score. 8 points for Joe Johnson.
Yep, good recognition. Team USA has handled zone defenses fairly well in this tournament.
At one time it was 13-12 Senegal, and now the U.S. out trying to extend on a 19-point lead. Bosch the offensive rebound. Who tried to hand off to Johnson on the cut. And there's a foul called on the United States.
Well, Bosch with the spin move. See Coach Gay, this gentleman took over the team in July.
The final game in pool competition with Fran Fraschilla. I'm Jim Durham. The United States against Senegal, and the U.S. up big. Joe Johnson leading the way.
Good recovery, good half-court defense.
Got a push underneath on Senegal.
I mentioned Chris Bosch, Jim. You look at Jorge Garbajosa of Spain, Bargnani from Italy, Anthony Parker, former Chicago native, who's played in Israel for a number of years, coming back to Toronto. So Brian Colangelo with a little international flavor up there.
In the only city in the NBA in which you need a passport. And the move by Miller will get him to the line as a foul is called on Senegal. And if it's on Mamadou Ndiaye, that's his third. And it's the 4th team foul. Mustafa Gay, head coach of Senegal.
The previous Senegal team's coach was fired in July, so Gay took over the team. He's a former national team player. Senegal is a very young country in terms of basketball development, Jim. In the capital city of Dakar, there's only one indoor gymnasium. And that's why you see a lot of those young men at early ages come to the United States, go to high school.
Where they can develop their game.
That's right. Dallas Mavericks, Amadou Fall, their chief international scout, has done a wonderful job of bringing a lot of these men over to the United States, to college and high schools, to not only develop their game but get an education as well.
Cisse, number 7, handles.
Like China, their guard play is not caught up to their inside play.
Not a bad move there, though, on the inside. And here they come again. Cisse, good dump off. And followed in by Ndiaye.
Slow in transition.
Chris Bosch.
That's good.
Brings the crowd to life.
Good for Chris Bosch. Has worked hard. Hadn't had an opportunity to play much here in Japan.
And a violation here against Senegal, turning the ball over. Remember, The winner of that game between Greece and Turkey gets the top seed in Group C, and Greece was up bigger than 4 a moment ago, so Turkey back in it.
Well, if you follow international basketball, Greece is without one. There's a lob play off the zone.
Intended for LeBron James, right back to Paul. That was a deep, deep 3.
NBA 3.
Yeah, and then some. So, all with that one. And Senegal within 16. The U.S. had been up by 20. That's the familiar spot for the U.S.
Well, that spot is open in the corner because of dribble penetration from the top of the offense that leads to a contraction of the defense and the open look.
LeBron James clearing. And we close in on the 4-minute mark for the second quarter here at the Hokkaido Prefectural Sports Arena. A foul called on a 3 attempt. Njai picks up the foul. Bosch will be on the line shooting 3.
Substitution for Senegal.
Senegal went to the zone, gives the Team USA a different look. I mentioned Greece, Jim, because one of their key players, Nicolas Zizis, is out for the rest of the tournament because of what apparently was an intentional elbow from the Cleveland Cavaliers' Anderson Varejao. Well, he will miss the rest of the tournament. A big blow for Greece.
And, you know, as a result of that in international play, what kind of punishment does Anderson Varejao look at?
There was no intentional foul on the play, and FIBA has not ruled on it yet. This happened in the Brazil game yesterday.
Right.
So the young man has a fractured jaw. Zizis, a key part of that Greek team that has played so well in this tournament.
Chris Bosch gets all 3. And the U.S. has its biggest lead. Heinrich and Anthony back on for the United States.
As I mentioned earlier, if you know Coach K, it's not about the score right now. It's about the process of getting better, particularly in the half court on both ends of the court.
Joe Johnson clearing that one away for the United States.
Good look.
There you go. Beautifully done.
Good look behind the zone. Best place to sneak a man is behind that zone. You see that back line of Senegal. Gets caught watching Carmelo. Of course, the way Carmelo's playing, that's easy to do.
Yeah, a lot of people are watching him. Carmelo has 11 in the half. The U.S. with its biggest lead at 24, and the United States has possession.
Besides good ball movement, you attack a zone with dribble penetration and also sneaking people behind the vision of the zone, and that was a good example right there.
Antoine Jamison returning for the United States.
Little set play right here, working on that half-court offense.
Again, at the rim, it's LeBron James. 13 points for LeBron James, and with a little over 3 minutes left in the half, a timeout being taken. United States up big over Senegal. Well, apparently no timeout. So we'll continue play in this second quarter. 3:16 left before halftime.
Execution is the watchword today. As I said earlier, the score is meaningless, really, because the outcome of the next round has already been decided in terms of USA's opponent. And we'll get a chance, as I mentioned, to see Andrew Bogut for Australia.
Apparently what happened, the officiating crew today with Angola, Lithuania, and Japan being represented. One called for the timeout, but another official waved it off.
We know in FIBA play, a lot of things the officials do are hard to explain.
Another good defensive play by the U.S. And another Spectacular move by LeBron James. That's 15 for LeBron, as Dwayne Wade will not be in action today, but he likes what he sees. You know, that tumble that Dwight Howard took in yesterday's game against Italy.
Yep.
To see him not only come back and play yesterday, but to play and be fairly active again today, that's remarkable.
Well, he has a lot of cushion on that tush. Can you say that?
I think you can.
Okay.
Can you say a 3 for Jamison? I think so.
From that left corner.
And that's 5 points for Jamison as the U.S. goes up by 31.
Good solid half-court pressure.
Less than 2 minutes for the half. Shot wouldn't go, but a foul called on Howard. And that does lead us to a timeout with the United States in command. The way for the United States so far.
You see the first half numbers. The three captains for Mike Krzyzewski, James, Wade, and Anthony, have been so egoless throughout this tournament. Today it's LeBron's time to shine, at least offensively. Yesterday it was Anthony and Wade. We've seen LeBron play great half-court defense, harassing defenders. If there's anything that's been impressive about this group, it's been the attitude and the character they've displayed throughout this exhibition tour and now World Championship run. There's a former second round pick of the Houston Rockets, Malik Badiane, now playing in Germany.
Senegal 3 for 4 from the line, with those 2 free throws dropping out. 4.5 minutes left in the half, and Greece leads Turkey 32-30. At one time, Greece was up by 8 in that first half. Turkey's been a bit of a surprise.
Yes, they have. A young team with some solid players. Remember the name, Ilya Shova. Plays for the Milwaukee Bucks, played a lot in the NDBL last year. Just a young player, only 20 years old. 19, actually.
That last basket by Dwight Howard, his first field goal. And the 3-try doesn't drop as the ball knocked out of bounds by Senegal. So the U.S. with a 31-point lead.
Substitution for Senegal, number 9, Malik Noy.
Right there you see an example. One of the things we don't do a good enough job in the USA anymore at every level is boxing out. We rely on our size and strength. And good example of Senegal right there, getting behind Dwight Howard.
Back in the zone.
This is good, Jim. Good practice. Good opportunity to work on ball movement.
Inside of a minute for the half. In the first quarter, as Jamison missed on the 3 here, Senegal had a lead at 13-12. Then the U.S. went on a 21-2 run. And it has been all U.S. ever since. And that was in the first quarter, that 13-12 advantage. LeBron James being pressured, and he walked with the ball.
LeBron has been a little bit careless with that ball in this first half, but done so much else.
You know, in a game like this where you're expected to win and win big, and you are winning and winning big.
That's easy to do.
Is it easy to get careless?
Sure, there's not as much at stake. You can have some fun.
It's out of bounds to the U.S.
Tell you what, as Senegal's gone back to the zone, Team USA comes in shooting almost 40% from 3, so that gives opponents in the elimination round something more to think about.
United States right on target. They are averaging 110 points a game, and they've got 55 on the board with 6 seconds left. And they'll hit halftime with at least 57 on the board as Carmelo Anthony delivers. And the first half has come to an end. Carmelo Anthony with 8 first half points, but LeBron leads the way with 15. So the United States with Dwayne Wade looking on, leading big over Senegal. The third quarter about to get underway, and this the final game in pool play. The U.S. having already won Group D. Senegal opening the second half in a zone.
Again, good practice for Team USA as they advance. Good ball movement.
Joe Johnson.
Good recognition. That's something Team USA has done a nice job with. And we knew back during the exhibition tour that Team USA and Coach K would spend a lot of time on zone offense, and you can see it's paying off. 13 assists on 24 turnovers for Team USA. A little bit marked difference from yesterday.
Yep. Well, that's a good move by Mamadou Ndiaye.
Played for Cliff Ellis at Auburn, took them to the NCAA tournament in 1999.
A near steal, and then Miller's pass is deflected, and finally Senegal gets the steal they were looking for.
Mentioned the outcome of this game, Jim, not in doubt, so process becomes important. Improvement in all areas, half-court offense, defense, zone offense.
Battier passed on a shot, and now the U.S. up against it on the shot clock. Battier ends up with the same shot he passed on a moment ago.
Foul on Senegal, number 4, Ndiaye.
So 3 free throws coming for Battier.
Well, Joe Johnson would have been better off swinging that ball to stretch the defense, but nevertheless, you see the unselfishness and good ball movement versus that zone.
Shane Battier on the line for the first time in this game. And only the second time in the tournament.
Well, scoring has not been his strength, but the hustle. Seen him take a few charges in this tournament. Keep balls alive.
You know what was nice to see today was China advancing with a 1-point win over Slovenia on a 3 at the buzzer. Yao with another big game, 36 points for Yao Ming. So China goes on and continues on, and you know, this leading into the 08 Olympics in China.
Absolutely. They were the host country. They qualify anyway. If you like the Rockets, you got to like the fact that Yao is leading this tournament and scoring about 28 points a game. So if he's not 100%, he's getting
and you know, friend, yeah, from watching him the other day, I think he looks lighter. And certainly more mobile, great footwork. Looks like he's got that going real well. So he looks to be in full recovery from his injury.
And he finished, as we mentioned earlier in the tournament, he finished the NBA season so strong before he broke that foot in April.
Heinrich on the miss. Miller tried to keep it alive, and Senegal in possession.
You bet Coach K talked about high energy level to start this half, not look at the scoreboard.
Ooh, nice. 3-point field goal. Nailed by Ndoye.
Ndoye, the leading scorer on this team, played at Furman University in Greenville, South Carolina.
Brad Miller connecting. The first field goal for Miller.
Found that soft spot of that zone right behind it on the baseline. Again, good ball movement.
So the United States with about 6.5 minutes left in the third, on its way to naming its own final in this one. The U.S. has averaged 17.5 points in margin of victory. They're playing their final game at the Hakata Prefectural Sports Center with Fran Fraschilla, Jim Durham. We hope you're enjoying our early morning broadcast from the FIBA World Championship. LeBron James had all 15 of his points in the first half. And it's now a 34-point lead for the U.S.
Good solid half-court offense by Senegal. Good cut to the rim. Drew the defense and the kick out.
Another guy who had a big day today was Dirk Nowitzki. In triple overtime, Dirk had 47 as Germany moved to 4-1 with a win over Angola.
And Angola has been very pesky. They were 3-0 and then 2 relatively close losses to Spain and Germany, the top teams in that group.
Elton Brand yet to score so far today. The only U.S. player who has played who hasn't scored, and now he's in the scorebook.
Elton Brand, a member of the 2002 World Championship team, the only member that remains on this team. The disappointing 6th place loss in Indianapolis.
But this group looks to be making amends for that one.
Well, the chemistry has been outstanding. The leadership from the top has been very, very good. As I mentioned, Jim, only question I have is, can you develop team cohesiveness in 3 weeks? So far, so good.
Elton Brand trying to dig that rebound away. Good effort. And Battier giving it up to Heinrich, who spotted up for 3. This is Joe Johnson.
Joe Johnson, good zone recognition, knows when to take that ball into the paint off the dribble.
Just about halfway through the 3rd. And Senegal able to convert on a move to the inside. Savani. Good delivery to Brand. And Senegal covering on the loose ball. Cisse fouled on the way to the hoop. Free throws when we come back with the U.S. up big. 57, Senegal 33. The United States will be moving to 5-0 in pool play, joining Spain at 5-0 in Group B. It's not official yet, but trust me, folks, Spain will be 5-0. They lead Japan 100-47 in the 4th quarter.
Well, Spain with Paul Gasol has had a terrific tournament.
Yep.
He and Dirk Nowitzki, probably the 2 best inside scorers in this tournament, and familiar names to NBA fans, and a terrific backcourt. Navarro and Calderon.
We showed you Germany in that Group B on the 47 points by Nowitzki today in triple overtime. They finish up 4-1, so they finish 2nd in Group B.
Well, and by winning Group D, Team USA ensures that they will only see either Spain or Argentina, assuming they get to the semifinals.
Yeah, they won't have to go through both of them.
That's right. Only have to go through one of them to the gold, and that'll be in the final. 2 of the elite teams in this field besides Team USA.
And Argentina finished up 5-0 in winning Group A. Boy, that wild game, Turkey and Greece. Turkey ahead by 5 at the half, 42-37. Elton Brand kicks out.
Excellent kick out.
Chris Bosh the rebound. This is interesting. I don't know how many times we've seen this with Bosh and Brand out there together. Or Bosh, Brand, and or Dwight Howard playing at the same time.
Well, this is a good mix and match opportunity for Coach K. Again, making sure at goals today, rest, make sure everybody plays, gets their timing down. Also work on half-court offense and defense.
An open foul line jumper. And the United States on the move. Elton Brand.
Number 14, Brand.
Nice job by Chris Paul. Another assist to find Brand in transition in the middle of that zone. The reason we talk about half-court offense and defense execution, Jim, you're going to get to the point now when you get to the 16-8-4 of this tournament where you're not going to be able to turn people over as easily and get those easy baskets in the run-out. So execution is going to become critical.
Senegal throwing ahead that time against the press. Grabakar Cisse. Being guarded by Joe Johnson. So that's 2 more for Babiane. That is 4 points for him today. And that corner comes up good again.
Well, and that's because Joe Johnson, again, with the dribble penetration to the heart of the zone. Battier smells that coming. A good pass by Joe Johnson.
Battier has scored 7. Has scored, 9 points in the ball game. Good ball movement by Senegal and a good shot taken. Chris Bosch rebounding his own miss, and it is out of bounds to Senegal.
Chris Bosch trying to use this opportunity to get his timing down.
Don't forget the WNBA playoffs move to the conference final round with the Shock taking on the Sun on ESPN2 at 4 o'clock Eastern on Saturday. And then over in the Western Conference, you've got the Sparks and the Monarchs also on ESPN2.
One of the WNBA's best players, Katie Douglas, in doubt for that game against Detroit. She is a valuable weapon for Mike Thibault.
Tough shot by Cisse, but the offensive rebound dropped in. Savani. The U.S. struggled a bit getting out of the gate today. They were down at one time 13-12 in the first quarter, and then went on a 21-2 run. And well, you see the score now, so you know that's where it's been. I'll tell you what, Anthony has just hit his 4th three-point field goal of this game. All of his field goals coming from 3.
Well, we got the sense at the start of the tournament that he would step up, and he has been on fire.
Especially so the last 2 games, and now Anthony on the steal. Chris Paul for 3.
Great ball movement that time, making the extra pass. Inside out basketball led to that wide open look.
Timeout, Senegal.
So a timeout taken by Coach Gay. It's a 4-point lead now early in the third. Turkey over Greece, 44-40. Greece shot the ball extremely well in the first half, and yet was down by 5 at the half after leading by as many as 8 midway through that first half. Well, the United States has had its team in China and Korea and Japan for many weeks now, and this coaching staff has done a good job.
Well, you got a little bit of everything. Jim Boeheim brings that zone defense and offense philosophy. Of course, Mike D'Antoni, who had a great career as a player internationally and as a coach, and Nate McMillan, who was an outstanding scrappy, sort of a role player in the NBA. Something I think not only is he an outstanding coach with the Trailblazers, but someone these guys can identify with in terms of being a guy that understands his role.
And Fran, a point you made yesterday about Rudy Tomjanovich and the scouting of the United States and how important that's going to be now that they move into elimination play.
Well, and that's because there'll be a lot of players that they'll see in this next week that don't play in the NBA and that these players are not familiar with, and a good scouting report is critical.
It'll be like their game with Italy.
Absolutely.
A team with nobody in the NBA, but a very good team and a team that competed with the United States. It's out of bounds to the U.S.
A little too much pastry there. Now again, they want to have some fun. The game's not in doubt, but gets back to the process of improving. There he's open.
And made the turn and the pass off as the foul was called.
Foul on Senegal, number 7.
You know, when you have this many stars on your team who are trying hard to be unselfish, sometimes you hurt the team by being too unselfish. LeBron could have gone up and dunked that right there, but his
passing motion cost him a couple free throws, actually.
Yeah.
What he would have done normally in an NBA game, as soon as he heard the whistle, was offer the shot and then have a chance at the line. Howard will be shooting 2.
Foul on Senegal, number 14.
Njai picking up the foul. That is his first. And Dwight Howard on the line. Howard has been the leading rebounder for the United States in this tournament. averaging better than 5 rebounds a game.
13, Mamadou
The individual numbers are not that impressive because no one gets a lot of minutes.
Just double.
Yeah, so
Half a game.
when you see Carmelo Anthony score 35 points or Dwayne Wade 27, they're not doing it in 40 minutes on the floor.
Well, that's the interesting thing about that rotation that Coach K had gotten going. But we saw yesterday when things do get close that he does have that core to rely on. But you're right. Most of these guys are playing under 20 minutes a game. Only 4 of the 12 players on Team USA are playing more than 20 minutes. That speaks to that depth we've talked about.
And they have doubled the lead on Senegal as we close in on a minute for the third. Now the U.S. coming out to jump the ball, but Cisse gets all the way to the rim. Dwight Howard with the strong move. 35 seconds for the third. Here comes Anthony.
You know, Coach K's mindset right now is the score is no factor. It's just about seeing improvement.
Chris Bosh, no foul call. The ball nearly knocked out of bounds with 18.7 left in the third quarter.
You can tell his teammates know that Chris Bosh hasn't gotten a lot of action and really making sure that he gets touches in this game.
Badiani appears to be hurt. And he comes out of the game for Senegal. That's not a foul?
You know, now that I'm not coaching anymore, I don't worry about officiating. I just know to expect the unexpected.
How do you like this? You now have license to second guess. Is this great or what?
Absolutely. I never realized the officials are so good now that I'm not coaching. You know? But I know, having coached internationally a little bit, taking teams overseas, that number one, they don't speak English, but number two, you're going to see things that you're going to scratch your head and you just don't worry about it. And you know, for the most part, except for times in that Italy game yesterday where we saw the chippiness, I think Team USA has been pretty good about leaving the officiating to not be a distraction.
Chris Bosh was fouled by Mamadou Ndiaye. 4 fouls on Ndiaye as he goes out here late in the third. And a lane violation.
That's one.
The basket counts, so it's 81-40.
That's one rule I've never been sure of, is these guys leave the lane, go into the lane on the free throw. I've never understood FIBA rules when it comes to that.
Time's a-wasting, but Senegal gets one up at the buzzer. A 41-point lead for the United States going to the fourth. Here in the fourth, you see Carmelo Anthony, who has hit on 4 3-point field goals to score 12. LeBron James leads the United States with 15 all in the first half, and Joe Johnson with 11. And Chris Paul closing in on perhaps an assist record for the U.S. He's got 34 assists now. And the U.S. mark is 37, were we told?
Much better ball movement today, by the way. Speaking of Chris Paul's assist than we saw yesterday. A lot of touches.
But he may not get the minutes on the floor to get the record. He's trying to defend down low. They didn't take advantage of that mismatch, but why bother? They got an open look straight away by Ndoye. Chris Bosh.
You hate to think that an NBA star would need some confidence building, but certainly the minutes today will help his timing.
The U.S. a steal and the early foul on Ndoye.
Love the way Chris Bosh uses the rim to protect his shot. Watch this now as he beats his man. He goes up other side of the rim to protect that shot from the shot blocker. Good recognition.
At the line for USA.
What do you think of that new ball?
It's slippery. I've had a chance to see it, use it, got one at home. It doesn't come out of the package like those new composite balls, like the new NBA ball that you'll see this year. Very soft leather. This is a hard leather, not easy to handle. It's not broken in.
17 points for LeBron James, a 40-point lead again for the U.S.
It kind of reminds me, Jim, Coach K gave every player at FIBA ball after that first set of workouts in Vegas to take home with them just to get used to it.
We understand as you look at Senegal in a zone that was an unsportsmanlike violation against Ndoye. As LeBron James dropped both free throws. And there's Bosh again. You're right. Chris Bosh, he looks like, he's been set free from all that time on the bench, and he's going to enjoy himself out there.
Well, not easy to accept a role when you're the star of your team. Toronto Raptors Chris Bosh, we mentioned that international flavor. That reminds me, Jim, best wishes go out to Pop Sal, who fractured that C6 vertebrae early in the summer. Young man that would have been part of this Senegal team, and with the Raptors, and we send Pop our best.
Carmelo Anthony going out. Antoine Jamison is on. Anthony getting a hand. The fans at Sapporo City have enjoyed watching Anthony play in this tournament. 2 minutes having been played almost here in the fourth quarter.
Coach K doesn't want to see the kind of let up we've seen at times from this team with big leads.
But 2 free throws coming for Ndoye.
I coached against this young man when he played at Furman. Good athlete, good scorer.
Substitution for USA, number 5, Kirk Heinrich.
Kirk Heinrich back on for the United States. And LeBron James getting a hand as he heads off.
Well, we've mentioned this throughout the tournament. This has really been somewhat of a non-conference type schedule for Team USA. But they go right into the round of think of it as a Sweet 16 tournament. One and done starting Sunday versus Australia.
A time to be determined. But the U.S., because they win Group D, play the 4th team in Group C, and that's Australia. Dwight Howard with the offensive rebound on the Bosh miss. So some different combinations we've seen by the United States in this game, and a 3-point hit by Ndoye.
Number 9, Ndoye.
Mentioned earlier, Senegal has developed some good young big men, but guard play, when I think of guards coming out of Senegal, I can't think of anybody that's really had a successful college career. But again, this is a young country in terms of basketball development. That reminds me, Jim, Africa 100, NBA sponsored. Steve Nash will be heading down there, really trying to develop the continent of Africa when it comes to basketball.
Of which Senegal finished second to qualify for the FIBA World Championship.
David Stern has created this global monster of players from almost 100 international players in the NBA this coming season.
That's a great thing about basketball, though, as a game. Okay, you're a small child, and it doesn't matter what country you're in.
That's right.
If you pick up a ball, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to bounce it, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
And so it's just natural that a love for basketball would develop worldwide.
It's amazing how many of these players, in doing research for this tournament, Sitafa Savane comes to mind. They credit the Dream Team back in 1992 with their interest and passion for basketball. And that's a David Stern creation, and obviously the rest is history now.
And it didn't take long for the world to catch up. That's Chris Bosh on the tip dunk.
Well, Chris is getting his money's worth from his minutes today.
Yep.
And maybe making a statement, because We talked about it, one sprained ankle to Elton Brand, and we saw the fall of Dwight Howard yesterday, and Chris Bosh maybe needed to step up.
Well, we've seen Bosh play with Howard. We've seen Bosh on the floor with Brand. We see him out there now with Miller. Heinrich gives it up.
Good ball movement.
Joe Johnson lines it up. And Senegal unable to convert. Ndoye missing. A gimme. Miller. Cisse with a throw ahead. Ndoye never came back the other way.
But he wasn't going to dunk that one. He was going to get the two. Smart move here by Ndoye. He's just going to lay it in, get the two. That's all that matters in the scorebook.
About 5.5 left. Antoine Jamison.
I mentioned that Africa Top 100. The NBA started a program where they sent people down to Johannesburg every September. It's going on in the next week, where they do clinics for a lot of these kids. They give them shoes, sneakers, equipment, things that they don't have. Mentioned Senegal with only one indoor gym in its capital.
And is that the reason, perhaps, as you mentioned earlier, that they're not really big on guard play? I mean, it's, you know, they have the big guys that they've developed that have gone on to play in the NBA and so forth. Although, you know, we're seeing Cisse out here. He's, you know, he looks like he has fine guard qualities.
Well, there's not, you know what? It's the last, you know, other than Antarctica, obviously, it's the last continent that's really been touched by basketball from the standpoint of all the clinics that have been done through the years. You know, people like Dean Smith and UB Brown are to blame for the world catching up because of all the American coaches that have been overseas teaching the game of basketball.
That's a violation on the baseline and a timeout taken. Welcome back to the final preliminary round game for the United States. It'll go in the win column today against Senegal. And over in Group C, Greece and Turkey. Man, that's been a roller coaster like game. Turkey was up 5 at the half. And the latest score that I've noted is put Greece up by 9 early in the fourth.
Well, Greece is one of those teams with very few NBA players, but there you go. Chris Bosh, good look.
He's having a good time. Bosh with 13.
Very unselfish Team USA today. Really conscious of the fact that the players that haven't played much are getting the rock.
And Dwayne Wade not available for today's game, but just resting. He'll be there with the rest of them early Sunday morning when the United States takes on Australia. In the elimination round, the ball out of bounds to the U.S. Number 11. There's Wade.
That's the big three right there. 3 team captains.
And the 3 top scorers on the U.S. in the tournament. Contact but no call. Johnson delivers to Miller, and a foul on Senegal.
Good dribble penetration to attack that zone.
The WNBA playoffs on ESPN2 continue at the conference final level. Conference finals as in the East, Connecticut will be taking on Detroit, and at 9 o'clock Eastern, the Monarchs and the Sparks in the West.
You know, you hate to look ahead to 2008 because we've got a whole elimination round coming up, Jim, this next week. But how about Kobe Bryant with this group? You know, Gilbert Arenas had a good training camp. I'll tell you a guy I'd like to see as part of this mix, Tayshaun Prince of the Detroit Pistons.
Good perimeter defender,
yep,
which is what you need in international play.
Length and versatility. Maybe a Josh Howard from the Mavs.
There's another guy who's come on like
he has.
Gangbusters. So with 4 minutes left, the U.S. up by 41. The United States was up by 34 at the half. They led by 13 after 1. And at one time in the first half, they were behind as late as 13-12 in the first quarter. Kirk Heinrich getting it blocked.
Oh,
do they have traveling in?
That's 2 long
in
steps.
FIBA? Can you travel with the ball?
He just took a long step batting.
Bosch again. How active he has been.
Well, that's a good sign, and you see how happy his teammates are. You know, and again, it's not the win and the 40 points. It's been the process today. We talked about it from the get-go. The game plan has been to rest the key guys, play everybody, and they've been reasonably effective in their half-court sets and played reasonably good defense.
Boss had hit 3 in a row prior to that from the foul line. Well, our Nike storyline, Wade didn't play, but it didn't matter. LeBron James, 15 of his 17 in the first half. And Carmelo Anthony's 12 came on the strength of 4 3-point field goals. So Carmelo Anthony encores his 35-point performance against Italy with 12 in limited minutes today. And Chris Bosch back to the free throw line.
Well, remember, everybody talks about that class of 2003. Chris Bosch right in that mix at number 4. Everybody knows about LeBron and Melo and Wade at 5. But you got Heinrich at the 7th pick and Chris Bosch at number 4.
16 points today for Bosch. Fans are cheering for Dwayne Wade. Wade, who is second on the U.S. in scoring and did not play in this game.
I had to laugh because, you know, Dwayne's from Chicago. I was reading the post-game notes yesterday, and we saw the jawing with the Italians and the Americans, and Dwayne Wade in particular. And one of the Italian guys said to Wade, "Hey, you're not MJ." Yeah. Basically saying, you know, we were intimidated by MJ, but
we have a delay because apparently the clock is not functioning. And you know, he's not MJ, but like MJ, he wears number 9 on USA basketball.
Yeah. And so, like MJ, he's got at least 1 NBA title.
I know one thing: he took notes.
Yes.
When he was growing up in the south suburbs of Chicago, and he is passing the test with flying colors.
Absolutely. That's the standard now by which Carmelo and LeBron will be held to, because Dwayne's got that NBA title with the Heat.
And it's official. Pat Riley will be back as head coach of the Heat as they defend their championship in the upcoming NBA season.
Yep, Alonzo Mourning as well.
Yes.
This week. Yep. Zoe will be back.
Endoy. And the U.S. looking for the century mark in this possession.
Looking ahead to Australia, always a very scrappy team.
Good 2-on-1.
Australia very much like Italy. Not a lot of well-known players. They do have Andrew Bogut, C.J. Bruton, who grew up in America, who's a solid guard.
Now Greece has opened up a 7-point lead on Turkey. That's in the 4th quarter. And the winner will win Group C. Turkey had the 5-point lead at the half in that game.
Greece plays outstanding defense, so really well coached by a guy that I know pretty well, Panos Giannakis, Jerry Sloan type player.
Bosch stays with it, and he'll have a chance at a 3-point play.
Chris Bosch came into this 5th game of the preliminary round averaging only 2 points a game, so his average will skyrocket after this performance. You feel good for guys that work hard. Chris Bosch, first-time NBA All-Star this year.
So he'll lead the United States in scoring today. He's got 20 points.
Probably sending a little message to Coach K as well.
See, I'm still here, and I'm still effective. But, you know, that's the thing, though, that playing him with different front court combinations today, they're seeing that, hey, we don't necessarily have to play him at center. We can, of course, use him as a forward.
He's telling Coach K in a very subliminal way, you know, I was an NBA All-Star this year.
You know, the United States probably, as Antoine Jamison lays it in, they won't get their scoring average, but this will be their widest margin of victory. Tournament averaging 110 points a game, an average margin of victory 17.5, but today will be their biggest in that regard, even though they may not get the 110. But they win Group D, and Italy comes in second. Italy with a 4-1 record, having lost to the U.S. yesterday. And Slovenia makes it to the advance round, as does China. China wins today on a 3 at the buzzer.
Wang Shipeng, yep. Big game for Yao, 36. Well, Chris Bosch's future teammate, Andrea Bargnani, first Italian first-round pick this year.
That's Miller, and it's an offensive foul on Miller.
I mentioned Bargnani, Jim, because I think we saw Italy's next first-round pick in the future in Marco Bellinelli, who lit up Team USA.
Although Coach Krzyzewski would like for him to take a stop off in Durham.
Yes, that's not going to happen. He's getting paid too much already. Yep, they turned pro early in Europe.
These are the final seconds of the preliminary round in Group D at Sapporo City, Japan, with the United States moving to 5-0.
I think they got everything out of this game they needed today. They rested their key guys. They played a lot of people that needed to get on the court, and their execution was reasonably good.
As they move on to the elimination round against Australia early Sunday morning. Australia finishing 4th in Group C. 103-58. USA cruising. Handshakes all around. And Chris Bosch with a double-double today for the United States, leading the U.S. in scoring in the process. Well, a guy who almost set a record for handing out assists in the tournament now hands out his sneakers. Chris Paul throwing him into the stands. And the Sprite play of the day has to feature Chris Bosch.
You got to feel good for Chris Bosch. Only 1 field goal in 5 attempts coming in. 20 points today.
And the U.S. shot better than 50% from the field. They held Senegal to less than 20 points in each and every quarter with a 21 rebound advantage. And they were big at the foul line as well.
Well, I think Coach K, we talked about what he needed to get out of this game. It meant nothing in the standings. They've got a chance to rest. They've got a long week ahead of them. They played people who needed to get on the court. The ball movement was good. And as you mentioned, Jim, the half-court defense particularly was outstanding today.
And the United States on Sunday morning will be taking on Australia in the 8th finals. The time to be determined, so check your local listings, but we'll be here and have it for you on ESPN2. A quick look in.